I'm the shining beacon of positivity.
Hey guys, what's up? Inorganic Pixel doing a quick video with Victor today. I'll kind of get more into detail about the character, but I think we gotta kind of jump into a lot of the newer leaks and a lot of the new news that came out in regards to Deadlock. Deadlock has been having a bit of a crazy week. Number one, there's been a tournament going on, which is kind of cool to see. They changed the mid boss to be a bunch of trolley worms, which I thought was pretty cute. And on top of that, we've gotten a lot of leaks that happened with the game itself. Some of these leaks, by the way, I'll want to add real quick, are all speculation. Everything here might be subject to change. Everything you're seeing here is just essentially what was, kind of shared against Valve's permission. And on top of that, we're going to kind of walk a little bit into detail on some of the things I think about with these leaks and with some of the stuff coming out. So let's just jump right into it. Really kind of give a preface of where these leaks are coming from, by the way. There's a Twitter account, or X, whatever you want to call it, called Project 8 with Deadlock. In the past, I've shared a lot of the stuff, a lot of the posts and things that they've shared in regards to leaks, in regards to news about the game itself specifically. To be transparent, they have been kind of like weird in the past. I guess they had a little bit of controversy when it came to a lot more of like political dealings and stuff. I don't really want to get into that because, frankly, I just don't really give a shit. The second thing that happened with this account, I guess this week specifically, is that one of their sources specifically kind of came about with some information, new leaks in regards to some of the skins and models for certain characters within the game, as well as some information about some new game modes and whatnot. And with that being said, it's my understanding Valve figured out who was leaking that information and then kind of dealt with them as needed, kicking them from the test servers, which we're kind of familiar. Those exist. There are servers that exist where, kind of more core players or people who, I guess, have more of a direct access to the playtesting area that Valve has with this game, outside of just the open testing area that exists with Deadlock. And this Project 8 account, essentially, with that information, kind of went ahead of themselves to almost like snitch on a bunch of other people who have also leaked stuff with Deadlock. In regards to leaks specifically, if you are a playtester, I really advise against leaking information to the public or to anybody that Valve would not really recommend. This goes for not just Valve, but really any game company. It's to your discretion. Obviously, you're going to have to face the consequences that come when it comes to the fact that you might have leaked information. But what's weird, though, is that the Project 8 account essentially kind of wants to seem to have its cake and eat it. They want to basically have the first access, all access to like any new leaked content or any stuff, any news about the game itself specifically, and they are willing to essentially sell the people who give them that information up the river if they have to, if it means that they can get more closer to Valve and whatnot. I guess they publicly went out on Twitter and basically told Valve that they're willing to share more information about who's leaked everything. So if you're a leaker, this is essentially the type of person you're dealing with. Be cautious of, dealing with people like this. My opinion, frankly, just boils down to the fact that I don't think Valve wants to work with this guy either. And they kind of just sold a lot of the people that they were working with leaked content or leaked info. And they kind of did it potentially for, I guess, a paycheck or more access from Valve, or in the hopes of more access from Valve. Not really surprised. This account then went to, later in the days, I guess, allude to there being a cool website to look at like Rule 34 stuff for these characters with Deadlock. I mean, super duper. I'm really happy to see that, we're at that stage, or, we're at that point when it comes to looking at Deadlock content and talking about Deadlock news. Really cool. And I don't know. I think I've used Project 8 stuff in the past for these videos as far as a source for this info. And a lot of those sources have been true in the past, that they've kind of were hinting at, the newer updates and some of the features that came with this newer update, as well as some of the way the challenges that the team is facing over at Valve when it comes to the game. But I mean, again, you just basically kind of did the whole rap snitch knishes thing, where you're telling all their business, and you're going to sit in the courtroom and be their own star witness. Do you see the perpetrator? Yeah, I'm right here. I don't know. You basically gone ahead and snitched. So, I mean, good luck with your future endeavors, and I guess getting more information about Deadlock specifically. They've gone ahead and shared a lot of stuff over the weekend, and I'll kind of go into the more minor things that I think are a little bit more minor, as opposed to the more major one. We'll talk about the major stuff, which is, I guess, including info on what the ARAM, what they're referring to as Fight Night or the Fight section for a more casual mode with Deadlock that's coming down the pipeline, and then additionally, a lot of the changes to the actual mid boss or the boss, I guess I should say. Sapphire Hand, Amber Hand stuff towards the end of the game and everything. And we'll just kind of dive into the minor stuff first, because that major stuff is going to be a lot. I want to get more into detail, my opinions on that stuff. So with the minor stuff speaking, we have a release of potentially what might be Yamato's skin with the revamped version of it. It's always been kind of an open secret that the skin currently that exists with Yamato was kind of coming from the Neon Prime era of Deadlock. It seemed that Valve figured out the character setup and the skill set, and also how the character works as a whole during the Neon Prime era. And then, once they kind of shifted over to Deadlock, they were like, all right, well, we like this character as is. We'll kind of keep this as a base or reference, but they really wanted to kind of match the overall theme and aesthetic of Deadlock a bit further with that skin. I'm going to miss Big Forehead Yamato, but I'm excited to see what we have with, this newer reskin. My only questions, I guess, kind of boil down to the number one, is the hat part of the hitbox? Is it going to be kind of like a 7 situation where instead of her head getting like taller, it's just getting more wide? And the second thing I guess I would be curious about is could we expect any changes to her tech, or any changes to also maybe a lot of her animations? Can we expect those to be a bit more realized by the time this comes out, if this is also what is going to come out in the near future? Who really knows? Again, everything here is a speculation and rumor. The second leak that we saw, and this technically didn't come from the Project 8 Twitter account that I mentioned earlier. This actually came from a streamer at one point. I believe his name is Crayon, and basically they streamed footage, or I guess images of like an earlier model of the Venator, or the Priest. Basically, the Priest seems to be a kind of an anti-tank build. Some of their cosmetic stuff seems to be borrowing a lot from Talon, and also borrowing a little bit from Vindicta. And I think that'll be interesting to see. I guess we can maybe anticipate this Priest guy being a bit more of another sniper character, which will be interesting to see. But I guess their whole thing is that they're a Catholic priest that hunts down vampires and kills vampires. The model that we're seeing here is very new, but I am interested to see some of these, bottom abilities part of their toolkit. Again, the models that they're borrowing from seem to be Vindicta and also from Talon. That being the trap specifically, the assassinate option. These other two, I'm not really sure what they are, and frankly, the photo is a little bit too grainy for me to take a guess. If I had to guess, though, I assume the first one's probably going to be kind of like a self-heal of some sorts with holy water. And the second one's probably going to be a bit more of a CC, or area of control type of moveset. I imagine this priest character will not be as mobile as potentially Talon and Vindicta. That's my guess here. But, everything's a bit of a wait-and-see thing. All right. Let's go ahead and get more into the really important stuff, the stuff that's kind of crucial when it comes to any of the leaks here. The first thing I want to get into is the new game mode option. Essentially, it's borrowing heavily from the ARAM option from League of Legends. I've never played League of Legends, so I'm not really sure what exactly that's like, but it seems that it's going to be a bit of a hyper-casual situation. It has a bit of a roguelike element to it, that being the fact that there's the chance to get random items equipped during this game mode. So basically, the idea, I guess, works is that you're going to be in a bit of a smaller team size, potentially 3v3 or 2v2. Not really 100% sure on that yet. But you're basically going to have the option to select a set number of items, and then also have the ability to get random items in the sense of like a bit of a loot table that you pick up as the game goes on, which will be interesting to see. So basically, this is really, I think, interesting to think about and like hypothesize in terms of what Valve's trying to plan to do with this ARAM mode. It seems that they want this to be a lot more of a casual experience, and also more of an experience to really test out characters. And then my guess also is to test out and get people more comfortable with the combination, or the kind of testing and experimentation that comes with items specifically. Oftentimes, I find that new characters or new players joining the game are always just told to, hey, run this build and run this combination of items all the time. So this will kind of give those, newer players or people who are not really familiar with the game Deadlock a bit more of a space, a bit more of an area to really test out and kind of play around with how the items work and also how those items might work with a specific character and everything. There's a lot of combinations that exist out there that people don't really think about ahead of time, and especially if you're new to the game, being told that you have to play a character a certain way is a bit limiting in terms of the experimentation aspect that exists within Deadlock that makes it so special. So I'm excited for this when this ARAM mode comes out. It's going to be fairly casual from what this leaker kind of told us about, or kind of anticipates when it comes on full release. I'm excited to see it. I think that roguelike element will be a lot of fun. I'm hoping that this mode really brings out the fun of Deadlock specifically and really makes it so that if you've never played a MOBA or if you've never played Deadlock as a whole, you at least have a space to go to now to where you can kind of experience the actual overall aesthetic and vibe of the game itself and really enjoy that. The last thing I'll touch on, and this frankly is the most important leak, this is really the big leak that set off the big snowball avalanche of stuff that was going out with Deadlock over the weekend, and that was essentially the changes to the end bosses, or the Amber Hand, the Sapphire Flame guy, or whatever. Basically, the area where your base is at if you're pushing to win the game, or basically trying to defend as you're losing the game. We only really got footage of what I believe is the Amber Hand, which supposedly is going to be changing its name to the Amber King at the end, and they might be also changing the Sapphire Flame overall aesthetic and vibe, even name down the road. I guess there's also some speculation that the voice lines might change to some degree, or even the voice actors. I hope that's not the case. I really like the current voice actors and also a lot of the voice lines that exist currently. But I do agree with the sentiment that there definitely needs to be a lot of change that needs to happen with the actual end boss or end stage of the game. Currently, as of right now, you are at a major disadvantage, I think, if you're defending the final base specifically. And on top of that, too, I find that the overall kind of meta right now that exists, where basically it's just you get the mid boss and then you just go ahead and full tilt, basically push to win. That meta seems to be something that Valve is trying to tackle or trying to basically bring an end to. Quick pause. We're back into the action. I don't know why that pause happened, but. And with that being said, just looking at this map specifically, I want to kind of focus a lot more about the actual structure and the architecture. So I'm going to kind of showcase highlight some key points with the actual map itself. So number one, I'm noticing that the spawn doors are now kind of creating a bit of a crossfire. This will probably make defense a lot easier, especially because now you have an area to where you can kind of see the point or have visual on the objective and also a place to heal. So that's going to be kind of interesting to see as time goes on. Obviously, cosmetically, this looks like absolutely crazy here. It looks like this, though, is going to be the actual thing you'll shoot at during the end game stage, and this might be more of a cosmetic choice. But looking around here, also based on this screenshot, we also have a lot more cover options and potentially some other additional types of guardians that might be coming up through the actual map itself specifically. I know there also have been leaks of different models of how these guardians might work and function, but just noticing these bottom two sections of this screenshot here specifically kind of point to some other type of different objective or different aspect of the overall point itself. This actually might even be, now that I'm really looking at it, this actually might be where you shoot out the what are they called? The soul things that keep the health things that keep the mid boss here alive. And then one other thing too that you'll notice with this screenshot is that now there's not three lanes, there's not three exits out of the actual base itself. The actual base being this little area again. And now it seems that there are just two lines that connect you to the actual base. I assume though that once you get to this line, you'll actually have the ability to select and kind of traverse or have a way to migrate seamlessly to green, blue, yellow. And lastly, other stuff to notice, we also have this area in the back here, so it'll be interesting to where you basically have options for cover on defense. You have options to basically kind of set up and mount a defense or mount a way to kind of combat the aggressors. Obviously, when pushing with Rejuve, you are at a big advantage and everything, and that's always crucial to take into account, when defending. But I really still do feel, and to my understanding, Valve feels the same way, that defense right now, or the way mid-boss ultimately culminates, is a bit of a letdown or a bit of a hard pill to swallow. There's really not an obvious strategy that exists currently, and you have to think of when designing this kind of thing, you have to make the overall final big defense aspect of this game very obvious to existing and new players, and readability is going to be a big factor in this as well. Looking at this screenshot, everything looks very dark, but again, this is all still a work in progress, and again, this also might not even be really what ultimately culminates with this screenshot or with the actual update itself. Okay, back to the gameplay. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what will ultimately happen with all these leaks and everything, and also what will be the current state of Deadlock. And the big questions everyone's asking is how real are these leaks? And another thing too is when can we expect this stuff to come out? And again, we have absolutely no idea. This was an interesting ult, by the way, with the Ivy and Dynamo. Ivy kind of used her ult to save Dynamo there and everything. But that's really all I have to discuss today about the actual big information or big news about Deadlock specifically. I'm still, again, it's an exciting time to actually be playing this game and everything right now. We are still witnessing a different way of testing that Valve has implemented when it comes to how they release and ultimately show off some of their games. And on top of that, it's just ultimately going to be interesting to see how this will all play out in terms of the realm of when discussing news and information about this game. Valve, again, really took the stance in terms of why they wanted to keep this kind of an open beta aspect, because they're still not final on a lot of these things. And again, these leaks really kind of hurt the overall, building of the actual Deadlock game for Valve specifically. It kind of creates a lot of issues where now, bozos like me basically get to comment on work that's not even really done yet, or potentially work that might not even really be part of the game. And that can also kind of affect the overall psyche or the decision-making process with some of the stuff when it comes to these updates. And on top of that, too, I mean, if you're a game developer and you're working on something you're really passionate about, it's not fun hearing like, oh, hey, guess what? That thing you were working on? Well, everyone else gets to see you working on it now. We all get to make critical judgments and opinions on it. So it's just, please don't leak info to Valve, and info to the wider public and everything. I get that it's fun to like learn about stuff that might be coming down the pipeline with Deadlock, and I get that you're very passionate about the game itself, but that just doesn't really hurt. That doesn't really benefit the overall community. It doesn't really benefit the overall experience that Valve has when it comes to making this game. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about it specifically. I'm going to kind of talk more about this gameplay here specifically, and kind of talk more about my understanding of Victor. To be transparent, this is not the most insane game of Victor you'll ever see. I'm still kind of learning Victor, and I really wanted to kind of learn him through building my own thing with him. To be transparent, I think the way I designed, or the way I play Victor currently, is really more around focusing on the actual objectives, or basically putting a lot of pressure on the objectives rather than team fights specifically. And I kind of built this. This build has gone through a lot of different iterations. Mainly, though, my focus with this build is to really get a lot of value out of the actual ultimate of Victor. I really think Victor's ultimate is such a kooky little experience, and Victor as a whole is also such a kooky little character. He's one of those characters that basically, when that larger patch came out a few days ago, or a few weeks ago now actually, he basically had his fixes and a lot of additional changes to him tacked on at the very end of the last second, which was kind of interesting to see. It seems that at the time, maybe Valve wasn't really too sure how they wanted to balance Victor. But if you actually look at the professional play now, Victor is actually one of the characters that's selected fairly often for these types of matches, everything. It's becoming clear that Kelvin is kind of the biggest problem when it comes to Deadlock, or when it comes to the balancing of this game, and I'm not surprised. Kelvin is kind of a powerhouse when it comes to his kit. When it comes to the number one, his ultimate is able to stop anything on the map at all, like turning an urn, mid boss dropping, even defeating the mid boss, defending and whatnot for the Guardians and everything. So that's interesting to see how they'll balance him out. My guess, the way they'll kind of touch on Kelvin in the near future, is that they'll probably introduce other character options that are similar to Kelvin, having the ability to like stop objective points or stuff on the map specifically. I really can't think of another character that does that, and frankly, I think that's what makes Kelvin like really powerful. But enough about Kelvin. Let's talk more about Victor specifically. I kind of build Victor to be really heavy and just sustain, self-sustain of some sorts, as well as a bit of a support element to him. I like to go healing Nova and or the heal right specifically. And the reason I do that is because when combining heal right or healing Nova with Victor's 2, you really get a lot of like bang for your buck when it comes to healing. You basically, your regen rate goes up way high, and on top of that, the amount you're healing goes up even higher than if you were just to hit 2, base 2 ability. One other thing too that I kind of build around with this as well is that I bound Quicksilver reload to my 2 as well, and I also bound a lot of the overall timing that it takes for the Quicksilver reload or for the 2 to actually populate. So you see that I'm still kind of a bit of a pain in the ass to kill and everything with Victor. In this case here, I'm trying to defend Green Walker. I'm having a tough time. It is Dynamo and Yamato pushing me here. But because, because of the amount of sustain and also the amount of damage Victor can take, and the fact that also Victor is kind of designed to take damage or designed to basically use his one where, it's based off of the damage that you've taken. I use him basically a lot, again, as I mentioned before, to kind of hold down the walkers and keep the walkers that I have alive, or basically go full kamikaze mode and go right into killing a walker on the enemy team. And doing that's so much fun. You'll see it later in this gameplay, I think, and I'll kind of highlight it a little bit when we get to that point. But yeah, Victor's also, his gun is interesting as well because, number one, his crosshair, I don't really know what the hell is going on with his crosshair. I don't know how they came up with that shape and size, but you really want to lead your shots more often than you think with his crosshair. Frankly, I mean, the ability to high velocity magazine might be a huge pickup for you, or even the high velocity bullets here. I think this is actually a clip right now where you're watching me push the blue walker here with my ultimate, and you can just really get aggressive because you have a second chance. You have the ability to kind of go again if need be. So I'm just again getting really aggro, really aggressive here. I was really upset that I got slammed down by the walker there, and this Abrams is probably going to get a free kill on me here. But then again, just psych, actually not a free kill. I still have another life ready to go, and Mo Krill gets involved. We were able to get Abrams here. You end up really kind of throwing the enemy team for a loop with that second life as Victor, and it really gives you a lot of space, especially with this build, in my opinion, to really just stay around and keep hammering that walker. Getting slammed by the walker as Victor is not as punishing as it is with other characters, and that's kind of what I at least how I play Victor currently. That's kind of what my modus of apparatus is. But as always, I mean, your character is defined a lot by, especially your build or your ultimate playstyle is really defined by how you are doing as a player and also your team. So, with that all being said, I try to avoid dying as much as possible. I try to get the most value out of my ultimate by using my ultimate or really going into a fight with my ultimate when there's a big objective to be had. And that example where I got killed by the Abrams there wasn't the best, but it still got us a lot of chip damage on that walker. Really got us a lot of space on that walker on the map as well. This is a fairly even game now at the moment, but that'll soon change a bit. Again, this is not the best Victor gameplay you'll ever see all day. I'm still kind of learning him, but I definitely got a lot better in terms of his understanding his movement and also understanding his kit, how to best utilize his kit, and specifically the spacing. I feel like with any new character you're learning the spacing, learning where you should be on the map and what you should be doing at a given moment on the map is so crucial. And again, as you see there, that Yamato was actually trying to take me down. She popped a few abilities on me. She got that huge slash on me, and I was pretty much at full health by the end of that confrontation. And then, again, we're back here again. I have Abrams on me, and again, full health again. The amount of sustain here just really pairing Victor with characters like Mo Krill or an Abrams, and basically anything that can actually, keep the fight going longer than necessary, longer than the opponent really wants is super crucial, I think, with Victor, at least how I play him. So here's where support Victor kind of comes in play a little bit. As you can see, there's a huge fight going on, and unfortunately my teammates are all just getting caught out. I guess I could have gone in there and tried to heal Nova, the Viscous, and Bebop, but I'm kind of keeping the actual support aspect, again, just to kind of keep this Green Walker alive. That 7, if I was not there and did not have the full heal ready to back up that fight, this Mina in 7 probably would have ended up taking it immediately. We're at least putting a little bit of pressure and at least keeping the Walker around a bit longer by adding that second layer of annoyance. We are down a few teammates, though, and what's kind of cool about Victor here is with my ult, and what I'm kind of trying to bait the 7 into doing here is essentially popping my ult under his ult. That kind of negates his ult because the actual ceiling for the actual ult pop is a lot higher for Victor than one would anticipate. This Mina is just having the absolute worst time getting me out of the game here, and we were able to, I think, get a kill off of this whole Walker drop and everything. We were able to at least work a few kills, or maybe not actually. It looks like we got kind of our butt kicked there in that one fight. But I guess it took them a lot longer to get this Walker than what would have been if I was not there with my healing and also with my ultimate and everything. So you might just notice that I'm trying to actually build Victor towards the what's it called? The healing rhythm option. Number one, what that really does is gives Victor a huge speed boost. And number two, the fire rate that Victor gets with his gun afterwards becomes insane. When you combine that with like the Quicksilver Reload or Mercurial Magnum and everything as well, it makes Victor's gun damage and also overall, again, sustain and spacing when it comes to the actual match itself a lot more devastating for the enemy team. There goes that heal again. We basically now, we basically just keep applying pressure to the actual lane itself. Had I not healed us there, Mokra would have had to take a step back. Maybe go back to the base. We would have lost a lot more space on the actual blue lane itself. Sometimes it's crucial to understand when making a build that it's not all about getting a kill or not all about providing the absolute most damage possible. But it's just important to also remember that it's crucial to make a build that helps your team out as much as possible. And I guess just one thing I also want to add as well when it comes to like any of the new stuff that's coming out with Deadlock and all the new changes. And one thing I kind of forgot to mention in the very beginning of this video, because this has just been such a crazy fast week when it comes to all the leaks and stuff. We actually saw a bit of a change in terms of the rankings with Deadlock specifically as a whole. So great grab there, Mo. Thank you so much. We saw a bit of a change with the actual rankings with Deadlock specifically. Basically, what ended up happening is that in order to account for the kind of larger gaps that exist right now with the matchmaking system that exists currently, because of all these new players that came with this newer update and everything, they had to essentially kind of boost everyone's account or their overall core rank a bit higher to kind of accommodate for that discrepancy or for that spacing that existed with newer people coming into the fray and everything. Because beforehand, the overall ranking system looked very similar to where it looked like everyone, the vast majority of players were like in the very, very bottom, lowest rank possible. And again, that just kind of boils down to the fact that you're kind of joining into a game where there's already potentially players that have been within the game itself and also have a kind of a bit of a leg up in terms of the ranking understanding of the actual game itself. So that's been adjusted. I actually went all the way from Acorn to late or deep into Phantom and the other one that's like beneath Eternus. To be transparent with you guys, I really don't give a shit about my rank. I'm just still here having fun playing the game itself. And when I got that news, when I basically got told that my rank was like way, way higher than I anticipated, I got a little bummed out. I was like, damn, the climb all the way from Acorn or whatever to Eternus basically just became a lot cheaper and a lot quicker. I don't know. In a weird way, I kind of felt like I was like scaling a mountain, and then I found out like, oh, actually the summit's like right here. What am I doing? Did I get lost along the way? Here we go. This is where that healing rhythm comes in play. And again, the amount of sustain here that you're seeing, the amount of absolute damage and craziness that's happening with Victor here. Great Magician ultimate there. And again, I'm just popping my all here at this point now. This Abrams got a little too aggressive here. I feel like a lot of players tend to forget that there is a bit of a... man, look at all this. Look at all the fighting here that's happening here. I had some like really solid parries there in that one fight, but unfortunately, because of the rejuve now, oh god, it's just about getting out of this alive. Ooh, we're so close. You can almost taste it. I need this Healing Nova to pop very soon, by the way. And I think this Healing Nova is going to pop up right here, and this keeps us in the fight. Again, we're just staying in the fight. We're applying all this like ridiculous pressure, just Victor alone. The yellow lane is like still way pushed up, and this other team is just too focused on trying to get a kill, trying to get me. Specifically, this Yamato just needs to back off. You need to chill, son. And I think Yamato actually does end up getting me here. Just kidding. Parry, but unfortunately, fucking Bluetooth punch over there. I don't know how that happened, but whatever. We were a little deep, I guess. We did kind of pop our all in a weird time there. But yeah, we're just back into the action again here. That's really, I think, my only death throughout the whole game. And technically I've died, quote unquote, several times as Victor. So, I wish I would kind of maybe keep a little bit more of a track in terms of how many quote unquote deaths you had as Victor. Maybe include that a little bit. Within the stats screen, there probably is a section within the reporting on that. One thing I'd like to add, by the way, that we're also seeing a lot within these games, and I've noticed a lot in the higher level play, is that people are using mods to essentially get an idea of when mid-boss comes, when earn resets, kind of indications and notes on the actual screen itself and everything, which I don't know if I feel comfortable with the fact that that has to be incorporated via a mod of some sorts. I wouldn't mind if that was a core base mechanic, but currently it's not. So I don't know what you guys think about that. For me, that's cheating. And for me, even at these higher ranks, that really shouldn't be allowed. But I don't know what Valve really will do about that in the near future. If I could ask, though, if Valve is watching this video right now, if I could ask them to incorporate some kind of mechanic or some kind of like indication or aspect of the HUD, it would be nice to get like clear indication or maybe like a history of what's been happening with the urn or what's happened with the rejuvenator specifically. If there was a way to like hit tab and see, hey, the urn was delivered, it was delivered by this team specifically by this character, and have that history and data to pull throughout the game itself via a tab screen or via like a history option. Just because I feel like sometimes during urn fights, I get so confused as to what actually ended up happening in the middle of that fight. The urn will just disappear, and you're like, I don't know who turned it in or who got what or what we got or what really happened. I just know a huge brawl broke out. But I also imagine there might be a mod that fixes that as well. I just don't feel... I don't personally want to use a lot of mods within the core base of Deadlock right now, especially ones that technically give you an advantage, which I remember reading at one time, like a lot of pro players during the early Fight Night matches that existed back in the day with Deadlock, way back in the day, even like with the 4-lane era, that some players had like mods that basically gave them that information during critical moments. And I don't know, I just feel like it's a little bit of a gray zone or a kind of a dirty area when it comes to the overall how you interact with the actual game of Deadlock itself and the skins that you have with Deadlock, or even the overall the information that exists within the Deadlock experience of the game. Here I am trying to get 7 down. His infuser though just keeps him in the air way too long. It's kind of nuts how infuser 7 was that crazy. So I had to kind of back off of that. Thankfully though, Mo Krill here is by my side. I kind of take a step back, just get a little more space to heal up and get a little bit more kind of visual of what's going on with the fight. I'm going to dive right back into it, though, here. And I think Yamato ends up kind of getting caught out from this whole thing. Going around picking up these wallets, though. Got to make sure those wallets don't stay. And then here again, healing Nova, keeping the Bebop in the fight, making sure that this fight can keep happening, though, because of the healing Nova and because of my sustain itself. I do have my ult ready to go at a moment's notice, and it's probably going to pop here in just a second. And I just want to make sure I'm using that pop at least in a space or an area where I could have a lot more breathing room to reset and kind of get back into it. Heading back to base with my fast ability, mainly because our base was getting pushed by the minions. This was a weird fight. I don't know why our minions weren't tackling these other minions or why the patron wasn't killing these minions. Again, this all comes back to the those leaks when it comes to mid boss or the end boss itself and everything. So hopefully that could change. I don't know what that was all about, but that kind of pissed me off. It kind of gave us a little bit of a scare because now the enemy team is way above us in macro, and I'm not sure why. Thankfully, though, mid boss is popped up here now. We do have a lot of space and time to get mid boss. A little worrisome about that Dynamo ult though happening, but if we get in there, pop our Victor stuff, get all Victor out in there and everything, especially with our healing tempo, because not only does that apply a speed boost to the fire rate to myself, but it also applies a speed boost to the fire rate for everyone else around me. And healing Nova, people really love to rip on healing Nova because it's not healing beam specifically, but healing Nova comes in uber clutch for situations like this. And yeah, now that we have Rejuve, we basically have kind of the runway to begin pushing and really getting in their base. Unfortunately, we're down macro-wise. It's so bad. So frankly, I mean, in the situation we're in right now, at this current moment, we probably are not in a position to actually just fully end. It'd be nice if we could, but all we could probably do now is just get Patron down at the most and then have to back up and reset for another fight. We do have a lot of lane pressure, again, which is nice. It's kind of think what, going back to the Victor build here a little bit, I think Victor was a big part of keeping that pressure out there. But, of course, my teammates were helping a lot, too.
Fixing green just a little bit here, and then
Okay, just jumping back into the fight here again. We're basically trying to apply some pressure here. We were just kind of trying to get the lanes all pushed up before we got into fight, and then Bebop with an amazing hook just lets us kind of get free reign, or kind of gets Mina out of position. She was probably getting ready to do some major crazy ultimate there, and we kind of made sure that didn't happen. I really, again, trying to get the most value out of that healing tempo there, and the patrons or the guardians are just, I guess, too far back from really me to do enough damage. Our minions are just not with us either, and then boom, here we go. Now we're beginning to shred here, and the fire rate that Victor has with this gun is just absolutely nuts here. We're gonna have to do a lot more sustain here. Nope, just kidding. We're gonna go ahead and die. We have also Rejuve again, so we have a lot more space to really make another mistake. This Abrams gets way caught out. and now we're just back into pushing blue. I find that one other thing, if they are planning to change anything when it comes to the end boss, I wonder what they're going to do about the actual switching over to like each individual lane and whatnot. Because I do find that more often than not, players just always choose to push down blue lane. I get that gives you like a lot more free reign to kind of go left or right, but I just find that very interesting. That I wonder if Valve like likes that aspect of the design of the actual core base, or really wants to adjust that in the near future. So we're basically trying to get these shrines down and whatnot. The whole enemy team is pretty much down here, so they are giving us a lot of space here. This poor Haze just unfortunately just barely gets me with that 7 stud. And yeah, anyways, I guess, gosh, at this point now we're so we really could have the argument to stay here and end and finish the actual fight itself, but you're probably looking at the YouTube video timer length here and everything. This is a bit of a harrowing situation. We have Dynamo coming up here, Abrams coming up here as well. I go ahead for a pause.
Need it set for 30 seconds. We could try to take this.
We got Reju for. I'm the only one who can't die, and then.
Can you guys stop cheating with this pausing stuff?
True, this is cheating.
True.
So we go for a stay, actually, which was kind of crazy to me. By the way, you might have noticed that I paused there. That was mainly, again, just because I think that pause was like uber critical. We really got a chance to just sit back and like take a second to really reevaluate what the hell was going on there. And I guess we're going to see if this pans out in the long run here. We have 2 rejuves. Oh, that's it. That's game. Sick. We did it. Way to go. Slam dunk. All right. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. Appreciate you guys tuning in here and everything. Here's the scorecard for the end of the match, by the way, coming up as well. Let me know what you thought of the video, and also let me know what you guys think about these new leaks and everything coming out. Again, as you see there, the amount of tower damage I did was absolutely nuts. So, yeah, thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Bye.